Hello everyone, it's Linda Brown here. Welcome to my kitchen and welcome to our steamy fast dinners meal prep workshop. So this week, this month, we're going to prep two different meals. When I cook, I like to cook once and eat multiple times. So if there are similar ingredients in one recipe, I often will prep a second recipe so that I have extra quick grab and go meals from the freezer. So I'm going to teach you how I do that using two of the meal solutions from the Steamy Fast Dinners collection. So the collection features the honey garlic meatballs, the wintry mushroom soup, the rotisserie chicken, and yes, you will have probably seen posts where you can cook an entire chicken in this round steamer in about 20 to 25 minutes, depending on the size of the chicken and the wattage of your microwave. But the two seasonings that we're going to focus on today are the Thai coconut soup and the butter chicken. So if you are prepping along with us, make sure you grab these two meal solutions. They are the meal solutions that we are featuring today. So the first thing we're going to do is chop our vegetables. So hopefully you've had a chance to wash your veggies and get them going. So what we're going to do is cut a sweet potato. I've already scrubbed this and we're going to leave the skin right on the sweet potato. And I'm going to be using the On Guard 5-inch knife. This knife is super sharp. That's why it comes with a guard. And I'm going to let you in on a secret. Do you see how the tip is broken off of that knife? That's because it's ceramic. And you don't want to be prying apart frozen meat. You don't want to be cutting really hard root vegetables, like stabbing into it, that sort of thing, because you could break your knife. So you don't want to do that. But these knives are fantastic because your food will not oxidize as quickly, which means it won't go brown. So that is perfect when you're doing things like cutting sweet potatoes, apples, lettuce, things like that. So I'm just gonna cut these knobby ends off of my sweet potato here. And sweet potatoes are a little bit of a harder root vegetable, but as long as you're careful and not sticking that tip in there, you should be all right. I love sweet potatoes so much. They are one of my absolute favorite foods. And they are a key ingredient in our Thai coconut soup. And I'm going to let you in on another secret. I usually do not follow the recipe on the Thai coconut soup. Usually I make this recipe when I have leftover chicken and veg in the fridge, even like leftover rice noodles. That is what I use to make my Thai coconut soup. I just use it as a base. It's a great way to clean out the fridge at the end of the week. Okay, so I've got all these rounds, so I just like to do a bunch of them all at once, so I can get these nice little chunks. And then what we're going to do is steam them in the microwave. And while they're steaming, we will chop the rest of our vegetables and cut up our chicken. So the Thai coconut soup calls for tofu. I like tofu, but nobody else in my house does. So that's why I always use chicken instead of the tofu. Some people use white beans. It depends on what you like. Again, when I make Thai coconut soup, it's always using whatever leftovers in the fridge I have to use up. All right, almost done here. cutting mat that I'm using here, we have a set of cutting mats in our catalog. There's larger purple ones, smaller purple ones, and then you've got large gray and small gray. So purple in my kitchen is for fresh fruits and vegetables, and gray is for cooked meats and cheeses. So I've got my round steamer here. I'm just going to pick up this flexible cutting mat and dump the sweet potato in there. And then, I have a piece that I haven't quite chopped up. And then I'm going to steam this in the microwave for 6 minutes. I apologize if there's a buzzing sound for part of our cooking class today, but that's because my microwave is right here and I'm doing the real deal. I'm cooking real food in my real kitchen. All right, so that's gonna go in for 6 minutes. I will talk a little louder over the din of the microwave. Hopefully it doesn't mess up my phone and the live video and all the things. I don't have my glasses on, so if you can't hear me, I apologize, but we'll do the best that we can. Okay, so this recipe also calls for baby bok choy. We couldn't find the baby bok choy, so we've got the larger bok choy. That's fine, we'll just cut it up small. 2 cups of hot water, a can of coconut milk, the firm tofu, but we're going to add cooked chicken. And it also calls for a cup of sliced mushrooms. Again, mushrooms don't fly in my house, so what I did was I just steamed in this this rectangular steamer. I steamed some Asian style vegetables, and that's what I will add to my soup instead of the mushrooms. So you don't have to follow these recipes on the package to the letter. You can substitute based on what your family likes. Now, we are not eating this soup tonight. If we were eating it tonight, I would be squeezing in some fresh lime juice as well using our 2-in-1 citrus press, but we are not eating the soup tonight. Okay, so I'm just going to chop up the leaves of this bok choy. Set the rest aside here. We'll put that in a prep bowl and set it aside so we can chop our onion. The onion is for the chicken, for the butter chicken, but for food safety reasons, I always chop my veggies first, and then I cut my chicken. Normally I wouldn't be using a red onion, I'd be using a yellow or a Spanish onion, but this is what we have in the house. So that's what we're using for our butter chicken tonight. And we're going to be doing the butter chicken in the wok tonight. You can do it in the steamer as well, but because I'm prepping 2 recipes at the same time, that is why I'm using the wok tonight, because I only have 1 microwave. So there isn't as much veggie cutting this month. One of my team members was laughing. She said that the sound of my knife working away in my kitchen was very soothing and calming. So I hope it is soothing and calming for the rest of you as well. That was so funny. Okay, so we are going to preheat the wok. This is a ceramic coated wok. So When you are cooking with ceramic, you do not need to use high heat. You do not want to use high heat because that will destroy the non-stick coating of the ceramic. Ceramic is the cleanest non-stick cookware on the planet, so you definitely want to take care of it, and you can season your ceramic just like you would season a pan using oil as well. So I'm just going to preheat the wok, and then I will be adding a tablespoon of butter and the onions, and then I'm going to saute those onions while I am cutting the chicken. So I'm going to move these onions aside, and I'm going to start cutting up our chicken. Need to grab a fork, just one second. I always forget something when I teach a cooking class, and that's okay. I remind my team members as well. To be a consultant, you do not need to be perfect. Just be your real self, cooking real food for the real people that live in your house. So that is exactly what I'm doing tonight. These are my favorite meals. I am so excited that I get to work my business, teach my customers how to cook Epicure's Good Food Real Fast recipes, and I also get to train my team that they can just be themselves, cooking in their kitchen, and it's all good. All right, these chicken breasts are massive. So I know in the instructions that we shared for this workshop, we said 5 chicken breasts if you weren't using the tofu. I only have 4 because these chicken breasts are massive, okay? So I'm just gonna set this meat package aside, and then I'm going to cut up our chicken into some smaller pieces. You may notice that I'm using a red cutting mat. This is not an Epicure product. I got this from a kitchen. Here goes my microwave. I got this from a kitchen supply store, and I always use red for raw meats. So red for raw. It's really important to color code your cutting boards because we use them for different things. So like I said, the gray cutting mats that come with Epicure's flexible cutting mats are used for cooked chicken or cooked protein and cheeses, deli meats, things like that. And then I use this red cutting mat for raw. Food safety is so important. Sometimes folks get an upset stomach and they don't know why, and a lot of times it's just related to food safety. We cannot be too careful. So you'll notice that I am continuing to cut this chicken, and I'm not racing to open the microwave. And that is because the food is still steaming. So those potatoes are still steaming in that round steamer in the microwave. So that's the cool thing about using the steamers. And you'll notice as well that I did not add any water to the steamer. And that's because when you use the Epicure silicone steamers, your food actually cooks in its own moisture and you don't need to add water. The only time I do add water is when I'm making potatoes for mashed potatoes, and then I add water. And I don't need to add quite as much milk because of the starch from the potatoes. So I'm almost done these chicken breasts, and then we can start cooking them in the wok. Actually, I'm going to add the butter to the wok. It should be preheated. I'm going to use my 4-in-1 spice spoon. So I've already put my butter in the 4-in-1 spice spoon. So this is the tablespoon. There's a teaspoon on this side. I won't flip it over in case the butter pops out, but on this side there's the 1.25 teaspoon measurements. So I'm adding my butter here. You might hear a bit of a sizzle. Woohoo! And add the onions. And we're gonna let those saute while we finish cutting up our chicken over here. And then we will add the chicken in with the onions. I always use my prep bowls. These come in every business or every Epicure Consultant starter kit because they have measurements on the side, which is awesome. I always use them to stand my spoons up while I'm cooking rather than grab a plate or make the counter dirty. Just a little kitchen hack. Saves me a bunch of mess. All right. Oh, don't you just love the smell of sauteing onions? I just think that is such a yummy smell. Love it, love it. Anyway. All right, one chicken breast to go. I told you these were massive. That's why I didn't need as many this time around. All right, give these onions a bit of a stir here. Woohoo! While they do smell good, I would not recommend an onion facial. My dog thinks they smell good too. Say hi, Olaf. Little video bomber. He is right by my side when I'm at the stove. I wonder why. So funny. I think mostly because I'm a messy cook. I do make quite a lot of messes. All right, so we are going to scrape this chicken into the wok. Give it a stir. All right, so we will be stirring that periodically while that cooks. And now I'm going to grab those sweet potatoes so that we can start assembling our soup. So these recipes are so easy to follow. Just literally open up the packet. So we are going to add a can of coconut milk. Woo, it's a nice thick can of coconut milk there. And then we need 2 cups of hot water. Now keep in mind that we are not eating this recipe right away. So that's why I'm not cooking this. I'll be cooking this when we serve it. All right, so now we're going to sprinkle in the seasoning. And inhale it, apparently. So if you use the mushrooms, you'd be adding your mushrooms. And then the bok choy. So if this was a meal that we would be having this week, while I'm cooking my butter chicken, I would be prepping the soup for tomorrow's meal, for example. And then pop it in the microwave for 8 to 10 minutes. I like it nice and piping hot, and then we would have fresh soup for tomorrow. The other thing that you can do is grab a ladle and ladle it into freezer bags, and then once you've ladled out your portions, you would take the freezer bag like that, seal it, and freeze it flat. This is my hack when I want Thai soup for lunch. Sandwiches get really boring, so why not make yourself a yummy Thai soup? You can just take this out of the freezer, run it under some hot water, break it up, pop it in your steamer from frozen for about 5 to 6 minutes, and you have fresh soup for lunch. For those of you who work from home, a lot of people will take their frozen soup in the morning and heat it up at the office. So that's a little hack for you too. Lots of people keep the rectangular steamer at the office for single portion meals. Really awesome. Okay, so let's give our chicken a stir here. Chicken is almost done. Now I'm going to be taking about a quarter of this chicken and adding it to my Thai coconut soup, and then the rest is going to stay for the butter chicken. So one of the things I like to do, I would normally do this, is add my butter chicken seasoning now if I was just prepping the butter chicken and not also doing the Thai soup tonight, because then that butter chicken flavor infuses into the chicken and it is so yummy. Okay, so there's our Thai coconut soup. So let's read our instructions for the butter chicken. So for the butter chicken, we use the tablespoon of butter, and we are cooking up the chicken and the onion right now. Then what we want to do, I'm going to use this bowl. So we're going to take a can of coconut milk. And we need some crushed tomatoes. I always forget how much. We need half a cup of crushed tomatoes. So again, it's really handy that these prep bowls have measurements right on the side. Add that. This spatula is amazing. If you've got anything in a jar that you want to scrape out, it does a beautiful job. All right, now we want to add the seasoning. Stir that in. Never fails. That's why I wear an apron, folks. Whenever I work with tomatoes and coconut milk, I'm sure to get food on my clothes. All right. So just kind of stir that in, hydrate that seasoning. And then right before you want to serve, if you're freezing the butter chicken, again, you can freeze it in freezer bags. If you're doing one meal, you would freeze it in a large freezer bag and then freeze it flat. If you're doing smaller portions, use the medium-sized freezer bags. But right before you want to serve it, you are going to add a half a cup of Greek yogurt. If you don't like Greek yogurt, sour cream works as well. Okay, so my chicken should be just about done. I'm gonna break some of this apart, make sure we don't see any pink. All right. There's one piece there that is a little bit pink still, so we will let that continue cooking for about maybe 1 more minute. So let me just tell you a little bit about these utensils. I have 2 sets and I use them all the time. You've got this saute spoon, which I use constantly. It's great for scraping out bowls as well. Then you've got the tongs. Then you've got another spatula. The bakers love this one. So these all come in a set. Our hosts usually choose the set as their free or half price item. Then you've got a flipper and of course the ladle. Honestly, probably the best. If I had received this as a shower gift when I was getting married, I would have been so excited because I love these utensils. They are a game changer. They are so great at scraping out bowls, just creating less mess, and they clean up like a dream. Just a word of caution, they are silicone, so you don't want to be like scraping them or washing them with knives. They're steel reinforced, so they're super strong, but if you're washing them with sharp knives, you will get cuts in your silicone, so we don't want that. So just a word of caution about those. All right, so now what we're gonna do is turn off the heat for a moment. We're going to add about 1/4 of this chicken in with our Thai soup ingredients. I don't care if onion gets in there too. There we go. And then the rest is for the buttered chicken. So the Thai coconut soup makes 4 servings. The buttered chicken actually makes 6 servings. So you'll have leftovers unless you're feeding teenagers. We had our goddaughter over. She's turning 16. And I thought I made enough food, but apparently I did not. So these meals are great. And our seasonings are super savory as well. So you can actually get away with using more vegetables and more protein. So if you wanted to add like cauliflower, maybe more chicken, more veg, you could definitely do that with this recipe. All right, so if I were freezing this, I would actually start ladling it into my freezer bags now and freezing it for a later meal. But because we are having this for supper, I'm gonna let this simmer a little bit, and then I will be adding a 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt or sour cream for our butter chicken. So that is how easy it is to prep 2 meals. I've literally prepped 10 servings tonight in less than 30 minutes, and I'm going to have quick grab and go meals for my own lunches, and I've also prepped ahead a meal for tomorrow. So yay! Thank you for watching this meal prep workshop. You have helped me cook for my own family. I hope you found it useful. Please comment below something that you learned tonight, or maybe a tip that you want to share. And stay tuned. We have posts coming up over the next hour with just a little bit more information about what's on special, some more information about Epicure, and if you have a question, reach out to your consultant and they would be happy to help you create your grocery shopping list so that you can get it in before month end and get your Epicure ingredients super quick. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great night.